We should make jokes about Israel tonight. All right, well, since you asked for it, well, I have heard it's good for your career to make jokes about Israel, so I want to make it in Hollywood. This is my audition tape. Now, I don't want to be called an anti-Semite criticising Israel. Sometimes people say, oh, you're criticising Israel. Are you an anti-Semite? Do you hate all Jews? Which is ridiculous. That's like making fun of Saudi Arabia and someone saying, excuse me, are you an Islamophobe? Do you hate all Muslims? Or making fun of New Zealand. Oh, are you a sheepophobe? Do you hate all sheep? That's like someone saying, oh, do you hate everyone from the third world just because you make fun of Durra and Woodridge, which I have been told are your shit suburbs. So, anybody here from Durra or Woodridge? You? Hey, well done on saving up for the tickets. Congrats. And you? Two? You are all laughing at poor people right now. But look, there's a reason Australia loves Israel, you know, as a state, you know, not the people. I feel like, you know, we've got a lot in common. Both countries are very young. Australia's only a couple hundred years old. Israel, 76 years old. Very young, 76. There are people that have lived in Israel longer than Israel has lived in Palestine. Well, that is very young. Both countries, Australia and Israel, both have a lot of white people in very hot places. So they're obviously indigenous to the land. And both countries, Australia and Israel, were formed off the back of some pretty genocidal mantras. You know, Australia started off the back of terra nullius, which means nobody's land. Israel, a land without a people, for a people without a land. So both countries, colonisers just rocked up, like, oh, there's nobody here, there's absolutely nobody here. And then they proceeded to kill absolutely nobody and steal their land and start their countries. That's another similarity. And also both countries, Australia, Israel, wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the British. I mean, I don't know where we'd be, but that's a separate show, you know? But if it wasn't for the British, Israel wouldn't exist. Before the British came to Palestine in 1917, who was there? Just Palestinians, Muslims, Christians, Jews, just all hanging out, eating hummus and couscous or whatever. And then the British rocked up, the original Barmy Army, and they just took over the place and they renamed it British Mandate Palestine, which sounds like something Elon Musk would name his kid. And the locals are furious. They were like, hey, Britain, you can't just keep taking over countries, all right? This is 1917. You could get cancelled. And the British were like, don't worry about it. We've got a plan. And they're like, what's your plan? They put out a letter. It was a letter called the Balfour Declaration, which the British government sent to an investment banker named Lord Rothschild. And they said, in this letter, we commit to creating a homeland for the Jewish people. The Palestinians are like, oh, sick. Where are you going to do that? And they're like, here, actually. Palestinians are like, we're already here. And the British are like, yes, well, we have dibsed it now. Dibs, like the first day of school when you run in and you throw your bag on a seat and you're like, that's my desk now. And the Palestinians are like, you can't just give away something that you just stole. That's like giving away a car that you just stole, Britain. And the British were like, interesting analogy, but no, we are not giving away the whole car. We're not doing Australia again. We are merely going to give away most of your car, but you will still have your wheel, but it'll be around your neck. And over time, it'll get tighter and tighter, suffocating and killing most of you. But don't worry about that minor detail. It's a minor detail. Trust me, we're the British, baby. This is what we do everywhere we go. The natives are like, oh my God, Britain, do it again. That was so much fun. Do it again. Do it again. In fact, right now, we're in a place called India, and we're about to cut that country up, create a new country called Pakistan. And believe me, both India and Pakistan are both just going to get along like BFFs forever. Trust me. It's going to be like one of our greatest legacies. You don't believe me? All right, well, speak to the Indians yourself. You speak to the Indians. The Indians are like, don't trust these talcum powder faces, okay? Don't. We were just standing there on the shores of India and suddenly this boat rocks up and we were like, oh, hello, white boat people. Can we interest you in a table for one? Oh, they just walked right in. Look at that, Raj. Wow, the confidence of a white prince. Make yourselves at home. They've taken my home. Okay, what are they doing to the place? Okay, 200 years later, they're like, it's getting a bit late and we are a bit hungry, but you have sent all of our food to England, including spices for some reason. You don't like flavor, but you have sent spices to England. Did you mean to send the mayonnaise instead? But bit of confusion. We are hungry. Do you need a lift home? We are a nation of taxi drivers. We can drop you home. Uber X as well, we can. Or if you want Uber Black, you will need to go to the classier brown country you have colonized? Sri Lanka, actually. Much better looking people. They are the surgeons in the hospital, not the bloody GP. The bloody GP. Surgeons. Any Indians here tonight? Shut up, Indians. No one cares. There is 1 billion of you. We are rare Pokemons. You are... Okay, we'll save that brown on brown racism for next show. Anyway, the British were like, don't worry, we're going to leave. And they left, they cut up the country before they left, and they created Pakistan, killed like 500,000 people instantly, displaced 1.5 million people, drained India of $1 trillion, which now makes it impossible for India to ever come out of poverty. And they left, took the best unashamedly, took the Kohinoor diamond, which is valued at like 250 million pounds. They took it, the Queen used to wear it on her crown during the Christmas message. Everyone be nice to each other, look after each other, Merry Christmas, be kind to each other. Indians would just look at another like, give us back that rock, give it back. Stole it from a child. They're supposed to be the head of the church, stole it from a 14-year-old kid on their way out, you know? I'm familiar with the royal family's history of Christianity. It doesn't say thou shalt not steal, except if it's like this real sick diamond, you know? Stole it from a 14-year-old child. You know, the only thing you're supposed to steal from a child, according to their Christianity, is his virginity, you know? Like... No, I'm talking about the history, their history, not the religion. Like the royal families, not the... Oh, let's get back to Palestine. Let's talk about... Palestine seems safer. All right. Bloody hell. All right, fast forward. 1947, you know, the British announced they're leaving India, and they leave. A couple months later, they announce they're going to leave Palestine because they're downsizing or something. And a couple months later, they leave, and then they hand it over to a group of Israeli militias and the UN, who then eventually cut up Palestine, create Israel at the expense of 750,000 Palestinians being violently expelled from their land, ethnically cleansed. 530 villages were razed to the ground. It's called the Nakba for Palestinians, which means the catastrophe. And now Israel occupies 78% of original Palestine, the only country in the world with no actual boundaries, because it just keeps expanding. All because the British, you know, they gave away something that they stole. The freaking cash converters of countries, aren't they? Acted like they didn't know it was stolen. Oh yeah, no, it was like that when it came in actually. Yeah, I don't know. That's what the bloke, he brought it in like, he wanted $5. Some people now try to justify what Israel's doing, stealing land, colonising Palestine in 2024 by saying, well, you know, Jewish people have a right to the land. They've been there for thousands of years. Jewish people were there 2,000-3,000 years ago, which is very weird logic for stealing something now, you know, or 3,000 years. Like, my background is Sri Lankan Moor, you know, 3,000 years ago I got Indian ancestry, Moroccan, Yemeni, Iraqi. I can't just rock up to Saddam Hussein's palace and be like, oi, Uday, that's my bedroom, bro. Piss off, you know? 3,000 years ago. It's ridiculous logic, you know? 3,000 years ago, Egyptian pharaohs used to own Jewish slaves. Does that mean Akmal could just call up Jerry Seinfeld and be like, oi, bro, you owe me royalties, all right? Don't be a soup Nazi about it. But no one's saying that Jewish people haven't lived in Palestine for thousands of years. Jewish people were there when Jesus was alive. Jewish people were there when Jesus happened to find himself nailed to the cross. Not saying they did that, because that would be anti-Semitic, but Jesus will be back and he'll have a victim statement. Then we'll find out what happened. But, you know, but Jesus was from Palestine. He's from the West Bank. He was from Bethlehem, which is under military occupation now, but he was from there. You know, which is a miracle in and of itself, because he had very blonde Scandinavian skin and hair. And everybody else looked like Waleed Ali, you know? He looked like a member of ABBA. It's a miracle. I know it's weird to talk about during a comedy show. Also feels like it's weird to not talk about it but we call a spade a spade. Australians are like, yeah, I could see there's a genocide going on, but this all wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for October 7, which is ridiculous, because that basically also assumes that life for Palestinians before October 7 was rosy, which it wasn't. You know, if you were in the West Bank, you were living under martial law. You've got to go through humiliating military checkpoints. They take hours. There are Jewish-only streets. It's literal apartheid. If you're in the Gaza Strip, Israel doesn't let anybody leave. They control everything that comes in: food, water, medicine, electricity. It's like being in a relationship with R. Kelly, you know? Does that punchline justify the speech? I've got Palestinian friends who were forced to leave when Israel was created, at gunpoint. Some of them, all they got to take was the key to their home. But now they are forbidden from returning, you know. But if you're a Jewish person anywhere in the world, or you've got one Jewish parent, or you're a convert to Judaism, you're allowed to go, full citizenship, full rights. I've got a friend, he's a convert to Judaism, and he's allowed to move there, even though he still has his training wheels on his freshly circumcised penis. Like, he's allowed to go. Does that punchline justify the speech? 10 years ago, I did that show, Legally Brown. Did you guys watch that? Thank you very much. You paid for it. I wore this T-shirt that said "Free Gaza." It was at a time when Israel was bombing Gaza. Doesn't really narrow it down, to be honest. And one of the execs at SBS called me up and said, "Hey, Nazeem, love the episode, really funny stuff. That T-shirt, though, we're going to have to delete it because it's offensive." And so then they, frame by frame, spent $10,000 deleting "Free Gaza" from a T-shirt. Now, at the time, I didn't say anything because I'm like, well, I'm one member of this team, you know, I don't want to rock the boat. And also standing up for Palestine, that's a long game. It's not all about doing it now. But 10 years on, being a dad, watching my friends watch their family die in 4K on their phones, clearly silence only enables the bully. There's no such thing as being silent and playing the long game, all right? But clearly Australians get that. Ordinary Australians can smell and see an underdog. Our government still hasn't got the message. I reckon what might make them change their mind and their stance and overwhelmingly pressure them to stop funding this genocide is maybe if we all just did something small, just started Ossifying the way we said Gaza. Instead of calling it Gaza, we started calling it Gaza. Then Australians would be like, oh shit! Gaza's in strife, quick! Someone call up Bunnings, let's organise a sausage sizzle!